video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 3 biggest blocks to reality transurfing, and I'm going to show you how to just power through those so that you really create what you want in a very powerful way. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you exactly how to power through the 3 biggest blocks when it comes to reality transurfing. Now, as some of you know, reality transurfing is a very powerful process that I've been sharing on the channel, and it's one that really helps us start to allow more. It really bridges the ideas of the Western ideology behind the law of attraction and how we understand it to the Eastern philosophy of letting go of the outcome and more so being present to the moment. And it also brings in parallel realities, understanding quantum physics, brings these all together in a very melodic type way to make this amazing philosophy that can just change our lives. Now, this has to do with a couple key principles, and I like to give a little bit of context for reality transurfing just in case you're not that familiar with what it is. Reality transurfing is more so than that of just a manifestation process. It's more of a philosophy for a way of seeing the world. It has to do with the awareness of parallel realities, that there are an infinite number of parallel realities that exist, and that what we think of as movement and what we think of as time is actually us moving and shifting through different parallel realities. Now, even as I go like this right now, I am shifting through different parallel realities, and anytime you see a degree of change, that is a completely separate frame within the larger picture of life. So think of this like a movie strip, and in a movie strip, you can stretch out the film strip and see different frames. Those, in a way, are different parallel realities. And you know that all those frames exist right now in the present moment in the same way that the parallel reality you want to create in your life, which is the best possible version of you, that exists right now, simply vibrating at a different resonant frequency. So this understanding can really help change the way we see things, because we can see that with reality transurfing, more so than us having to create it out of nothing and make it something that we have to really try hard to do, it's more so choosing the things in our life that allow that frame to pop into place. That's why reality transurfing is more about flowing through the different parallel realities rather than us having to create it and have a whole bunch of struggle that comes along with it. So what are the main determinants as to whether we experience what we want or not? Well, it has to do with intention. Intention is like the most powerful thing that if you simply start to apply in your life, you will start to experience profound results. Intention is a direction and a will to go in a certain direction, almost kind of like an expectation, but you're not attached to it. And when you have an intention, that changes everything, because then you give yourself direction. Whereas mostly people are just they're desiring things in their life. And because they're desiring it, a lot of times what happens is in the present moment, they're saying where they are right now isn't good enough. I'd rather be over there where there's something that I can achieve or something I can attain. But what that does is that causes resistance in the present moment, because then you're in the moment referring and you are accentuating the fact that you don't currently have what you want. So the key to this is to translate that desire into intention with the awareness that desire isn't powerful in itself. And I use this analogy all the time, or this metaphor, but if I have a desire to put up my hand right now and I don't do it, that does nothing. But the moment I translate that desire into intention, I can then simply do it, take action and do it. So taking action is also powerful for this, and that's why a lot of reality transurfing has to do with understanding our goals and how we must make the goals something that's connected to our heart, because when we do that, it's more passionate and it's more so something that the heart can connect to as well, because more so than just the idea of creating from the head, it's creating from the heart. The heart is electromagnetically thousands of times more powerful than that of the head. This is what science has shown us. This is also what the Heart Math Institute has showed us, and it's something that we can start to really integrate into our own life. Now, there's a couple other ideas of reality transurfing. One of them has to do with something called pendulums. Pendulums are these thought structures that contain the collective consensus of everybody. So it's like the idea we all create our own layer of reality with our thoughts and our emotions, and then collectively, if we think similar thoughts and we have collective beliefs, those create a larger energy structure that creates something called social conditioning. So many times we think we're having our own thoughts when in reality we're having the thoughts of this social conditioning. And these thoughts can sometimes be a good thing, but a lot of times they just want to, in a way, kind of pull our energy. They want to kind of, they're giving all of this meaning, and they end up pulling us in certain directions where we think we're thinking it, but we're not. It's more so we're just aligning with that quote-unquote pendulum. Now, there's pendulums around being Democrat and Republican. There's pendulums around every sports team you can imagine. There's pendulums around just about any collective belief system you can think of. And what we can begin to do is just take our power back. Take your power back. Realize you can start to think for yourself, and you can start to create your own layer through being unique, through being yourself, through being authentic. So that's an important part of it. And one of the other important parts of it is understanding importance. And anything we make excessively important, we immediately distance ourselves from it. You could think of this like maybe there's somebody that you are attracted to, and you had an intention to, maybe take that further. But if you made it really important, guess what? You created resistance. That resistance manifested. What you would want to do is realize that you may be making that more important than it has to be, and that by making it more important than it has to be, you immediately distance yourself from it. Because as you create resistance in the present moment, either that person will feel that off of you, or circumstances will just happen so that it doesn't actually happen. Because metaphorically speaking, there are balancing factors that come into play that neutralize that energy. So that's something to be aware of as well. Now, the three biggest blocks when it comes to reality transurfing is the first one I'd say is one of the most common, and it's the stress and the making of everything being important. So let's look at this for a minute. The reality transurfing is the idea of flowing through variations. Like if you were to depict what the meaning of reality transurfing is, you'd see that it has to do with flowing through the variations, flowing and shifting through the different parallel realities, which is a very fluid movement. It's not like I have to do this and I have to do that. It's more just like flowing. And because of that, guess what? It's more about allowing. Now, this is what happens anytime we make things more important than they have to be. We start to create resistance. Now, this is when people start to experience stress. They start to stress themselves out. They're like, oh, I need to create this in my life. And because of that, they create that excess potential. That's what it's called. Anytime you make something more important than it has to be, you create excess potential. And in that excess potential, what you do is that balances out, and you then feel that stress as the result, as almost like the manifestation of that. So the key to this is to become aware of how you feel in the present moment, become aware of if you are trying too hard to do something, and if you are resisting anything by making it more important than it has to be, then what you can do is start to decrease the level of importance. Now, I've created a free meditation that will help you to decrease the level of importance, and how when you decrease the level of importance, you actually increase the probability of you experiencing it. So what I did is I created that meditation. You can download it in the description box below. It will also help wire in all these different reality transurfing ideas so that you make it something powerful in your life. I recommend you listen to it for 21 days to get the maximum benefit out of it. So that's something that will help you to decrease the level of importance as well. But one of the easiest ways to do it in general is to start to see yourself as naturally the kind of person that has those kind of experiences. So it's almost like people make it more important than it has to be when they don't increase their self-image. They don't see themselves as natural to be experiencing what they want. So they'll feel that gap if they're like intending to experience something, but they feel the gap of it. It's because they don't link up their self-image to what they want to experience. It's like if you made $50,000 a year and you had a goal to making $100,000 a year, then, and with reality transurfing, the money wouldn't be the goal anyways, because it needs to be connected to your heart. But just so that we can understand this, if we are at a $50,000 a mind self-image and we're trying to make more, it's hard to do. We feel resistance because it's not natural for us, because it's not natural for our self-image. So we must then increase and start to see ourselves as natural for us to experience that at $100K a year, and that's when everything begins to change. So changing self-image is a powerful way to do it, to see it as more of natural for us. That will help us to do it as well. So those two things, or that part of decrease in importance, can profoundly change your life and help you to decrease the amount of importance you're giving things, so that you more so resonate with the desires that you have. The second biggest block when it comes to reality transurfing has to do with simply setting intentions. Now, people come to understand, oh, flowing through variations, this idea of allowing, but they don't set enough intentions. Now, one of the easiest processes you can use to set more intentions is actually something from another group of teachings, which is by Abraham Hicks. It's called segment intending. Out of all the material of Abraham Hicks, I'd say what I resonate with the most is that of segment intending. Now, this means that any part of your day that you can kind of break down into a certain segment, you can intend for certain things to happen. Now, this is what Tony Robbins would call almost like forming an outcome. If you have a certain outcome, then that's the direction you can move into. And he simply says to have more outcomes, and if you have more outcomes, you start to get better results. Now, this is in a similar way. Set more intentions and use segment intending. So how do you do this? Well, what you realize is there's certain parts of your day that you can break down into segments. So a segment could be you getting in your car, getting ready to go somewhere. A segment could be you at that place that you went. A segment could be you coming and going to a restaurant to eat. A segment could be you then going and getting some reading done, or you going to get some work done. All of those can be chunks, and what you do is you set certain intentions within those. And it could be you're getting into your car and you have the intention of driving safely, of in a way flowing through traffic. You have an intention of when you go, like if I go to the gym, I have an intention to have a certain type of workout. I have an intention to kind of be present to the moment while I'm doing it and to not get too lost into talking to other people, because then it kind of takes me away from the workout. So what I do is I kind of bring those intentions in, and as I do that, it makes it much more fluid, and it almost pre-paves the way for those things to happen. So you can do this like every morning I wake up, I set the intention that I create 1 or 2 videos, I edit those videos, I get a certain amount of things done, then after that I go to the gym, there's certain intentions I have. It makes everything so much more fluid, and here's the best part. The more consistently you do it, the more you add momentum to that. The more you add momentum to those intentions to where it goes on autopilot. So then eventually you don't have to get in your car and think about it being a safe drive, because it's just natural for you. You start to think that naturally because you've patterned yourself through repetition, and guess what? That also influences your subconscious mind in a very powerful way. So doing that will help you to then start to create more of that in your life. You're going to start to see things happen in a very powerful way, simply because you're giving more direction in your life towards what you want to experience. Now, the third way has to do with understanding importance and at the same time energy levels. So the blocks come from not having allowing as much, but at the same time not having the proper energy state. Now, if you find that you feel very depleted all of the time, if you find that you feel like it's very hard for you to do what you're doing, it could simply be because your energy levels are low. And if your energy levels are low, you can't create anything powerful in your life, because you don't have the way of actually setting powerful intentions and showing up in a powerful way. So this has to do with your diet. This is actually talked about in Reality Transurfing. What is your diet like? How are you balancing out your energy? There's an energy field around your body. And if you feel, and if you have certain thoughts that you're repetitively thinking that are negative, guess what? That manifests in your energy field. And as you're walking around, you're linking up with synchronicity in your life and certain experiences in your life that mirror that kind of blockage or that kind of energy field that you have. So this is about being aware of where you are and being aware of your energy levels to begin with. Now, anything you give excess meaning to starts to put blockages in your energy field. It starts to imbalance out the energy, and you feel resistance. And when you feel resistance, guess what? You create more and more of it in your life. But instead, what you could do is be aware of when you start to feel that. And as you start to feel that, guess what? You can start to become more present. You can start to remind yourself that those are many times pendulums. You remember those thought structures we talked about? Those are normally, when people are unconscious of it, sucking people's energy out, because people are linking up with those thought structures and thinking that that's who they are. It's when you're watching the media. It's when you're watching movies and TV shows that don't serve you. This is why it's so important for you to become aware of how you feel in relation to what you are consuming. And the moment you take your power back is the moment you start to grow your own energy field. So me, for example, I don't watch much TV except for, of course, YouTube videos that I choose to watch. I am able to, I watch maybe 1 or 2 TV shows like Shark Tank or something that is business oriented that I enjoy watching. But other than that, and when I watch it, I'm present watching it. I'm not like getting involved in it, and I'm not like getting sucked in so much. I'm just like observing it. I'm more of enjoying the present moment. Same thing with what I do in daily life. You be aware of when you go to certain situations, how you feel in relationship to what is happening. As you become more aware of this, you will start to take your power back, and then you can be aware of not only what are you consuming as far as your attention goes, but what are you literally consuming as far as food goes. Because if you're eating food that blocks up your energy centers by literally eating food that's just that doesn't digest well, eating food that is kind of full of stimulation, it's taking your body a whole bunch of energy to break that down, and you're not actually able to have much energy and that much power to go towards what you want to create in your life. So this is that awareness of becoming aware of how you feel in relationship to all of those things. Remember, if you decrease importance, you start to let go of stress, and as you let go of stress, you relax. You're able to flow more through the experiences. If you simply set more intentions, you will start to experience more profound things happening in your life. And then beyond that, let go of those pendulums. Start to build your own energy by eating the proper nutrition, by being aware of when conditioning is coming into play, and then simply choosing your own path and connecting to your heart. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to like this video if you guys liked it, subscribe if you haven't already. Also, hit that little notification here next to the subscribe button so that you can see the daily videos that I do. And other than that, as always, peace, much love, and namaste.